Hello guys, the DB Grinder here, back at it again with another video, and this time I have a different type of video. So I'm going to be going over a bunch of OCG things, and I also wanted to talk about Road of the King and some of the things that they do. A lot of people just look at Road of the King and be like, alright, cool, this is the OCG format, this is the OCG meta, but that is just not true. I do think Road of the King is a very good tool for looking at the OCG, but I don't think it should be like set in stone, right? Because let's actually read some of the words that are said in this. A lot of people just look at the deck profiles and the metagame breakdown, and that's what they look at. But let's hop right in. So this says, this report tabulates 114 top performing decks from 22 tournaments that were hosted in Japan, China mainland, Philippines, and South Korea during the 20th through 24th January 2024. So this was pretty much over a 1 weekend period, right? Now there's 22 tournaments in 1 weekend. We can agree that most of those tournaments probably don't actually mean a whole lot. A lot of those are just local tourneys. You know, nothing really crazy. They're not even like regionals, maybe like one regional, stuff like that. Nothing like super crazy. So, you are getting this information from local type of events. Then go to the metagame breakdown. We can see that the Fire King Snake Eye deck is the most popular, and then behind it, Branded and Voiceless Voice are tied with 9 each. And then, yeah, we'll just skip past that part, because that's not, like, too important. I mean, we can see Fire King is, like, the best deck in the format by far. Alright, now keep going. Alright, actually, I did want to bring up one other thing. A deck like Rescue Ace is, it's really hit over there. They only have 1 emergency, they have 2 Airlifter, Prosperity's at 1 if they want to play it. Forget what the other hit is, but I think there is something else too. But that, that already is a lot of hits. Now we can go ahead, scroll down, so we see Fire King. So the top 2 teams from the 25th YCCS and Chiba Hobby Station were all running Sinful Spoils, Snake Eye, Fire King decks. Their main deck, extra, and side decks were almost identical too. The main difference being the champion team went for Solemn Strike in the side deck, while the runner-up team went for Solemn Judgment. Also, this tournament only had 20 teams in it. It was a 3v3 tournament. It had 20 teams, so it was 60 players in it. So, really just like a local size 3v3 event. But there were some good players in it, like the 2018 Worlds representative. But now we can see Solemn Strike and Solemn Judgment. Oh, this line makes no sense to me, by the way. Solemn Strike and Solemn Judgment plays a similar role in the mirror match for stopping Snake Eye Ash. Strike could negate and destroy Ash when its effect is activated, while Judgment can negate the normal summon of Snake Eye Ash. Okay, first of all, that's not really a very good line, because, Judgment on Snake Eye Ash is obviously a lot worse than Strike on Snake Eye Ash, because Snake Eye Ash is once per turn. So if you strike it, that's way better than having to use Judgment on it. Not just because you're paying more life points, but because you're actually stopping it, where if they can, like, get back to Snake Eye Ash after Judgment, they can still just use it and still combo. Judgment's obviously more used to stop other things too, like the non-engine in the opponent's deck. Maybe like Cosmic, Evenly, Harpies, Lightning Storm, stuff like that. And it says, Solemn Strike advantage is being able to be used on hand traps, which doesn't really make sense. If you open with multiple copies, then after stopping the opponent's play with the first copy, the second copy can be used on your turn to protect your combo against the opponent's hand traps. Solemn Strike could also be sided against Voiceless Voice and could clear Skull Guardian, Protector of the Voiceless Voice, under the protection of Barrier of the Voiceless Voice. Okay, so a couple things about this line too. The people that are playing Solemn Strike, a lot of them are only playing 2 Solemn Strike. So, first of all, you're never going to open 2 copies of it. It's like extremely, extremely rare to open 2 copies of a card that you play 2 of. Also, the opponent will probably be able to combo somewhat more than just normal summon pass. Otherwise, wouldn't like the deck just be horrible, right? Like 1 Baron would stop the deck. And also, if you have to Solemn Strike the Skull Guardian, sure. Not bad, right? You stop a negate. They do get the banish and summon out a Skull Guardian from deck off the prayer spell. And then Solemn Judgment has the advantage of negating spell trap cards. Could also be used to negate Cosmic, evenly to prevent a board wipe. Yes, there's no clear answer on whether Strike or Judgment is a better side deck option for now. And we'd have to observe the metagame trend to see if more players' opinions would change. And then we have Fairy, which is the World Championship 2018 Japan representative, went 5-1-1 and finished first in the 25th YCCS in Chibi Hobby Station, which had 20 teams, 60 participants. Yep, so not a very big tournament. But we can look at the list real quick. So 40 card list, and also remember that they're playing with Maxi in the format. And that doesn't just change the deck list. Well, okay, so you might say, like, okay, if Maxi's in the format, the only thing that changes is 3 Maxi in the main deck, 2 called by and cross out. That's not all that changes. Because now your deck has to naturally be able to beat Maxi without drawing Ash called by cross out. Because you won't have these every time the opponent draws Maxi. So your deck needs to naturally have a plan B through Maxi. If you've ever played Master Duel, then you know what I'm talking about. So that's why stuff like Skyburn's in the deck. That's why the XYZ is in the extra deck. Maybe not the main reason the XYZ is in the extra deck, or maybe not the only reason I should say, but it's probably the main reason. So that way, even if they get hit with Maxi, their Fire King stuff is still strong. Which is also why we probably see a very small Snake Eye package. Because, no Snake Eye Oak, stuff like that. Because Maxi can hurt. To be honest, if you're comboing, you're probably just winning anyways. Also, really strong if you go first in open Maxi. That's like just game. Because the opponent will only have called by crossout to beat it then. Because they would have ashed you turn 1 to try to stop you from playing. Also, something that's cool with this format too is if your opponent Maxis you turn 1 and you ash it, you can Sunlight Wolf to add back ash. So then, it's really bad for the opponent. They're also playing 2 Island, 1 Sanctuary. I think this is just because they want more Fire King stuff. Because, like I said, in their format, they have to have, like, a stronger Fire King package compared to WoW. Like, where in TCG, a lot of people are opting for a more strong Snake Eye package. Because, there's no big punishment to it like Maxi. And then I don't think there's anything else, like, crazy in the list. Yeah, they're pretty much playing like the monster lineup that a lot of people in the TCG have switched over to also. Nothing too crazy. Maybe I would expect them to be on like a Barong, but they're not. And then extra deck. Trying to see if there's anything wild in it. Not really. No, nothing too crazy. Side deck, they do play the Psyframe Spell Negate. I'm pretty sure it's Delta. I always get the names mixed up, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Delta. So they play 2 of the Spell Negate and 1 Gamma and Driver. So they pretty much have like 3 Psyframes, 1 Driver, kind of like, used to have like we used to with Gamma. But the Spell Negate is very strong because you can stop stuff like the original. You can stop stuff like Island or Sanctuary. I guess, if you open like Maxi plus this, if your opponent tries to called by or cross out you can stop called by or cross out. So then that becomes a very strong 2-card combo to stop the opponents out to the Maxi, which can be really nice. This can also work against other decks too, like the Voiceless Voice deck. You can stop their main spell. Against even just random decks like Flounderies, you can go ahead and stop their stuff. Rescue Ace, you can stop Emergency. There's a lot of stuff that you can stop with this, so it's very interesting. And I wonder if TCG will pick up on this. And then, yeah, we see like 2 Solemn Strike in the side. That's also why they're arguing like, oh, if you draw 2 Solemn Strike, like it's never gonna happen. And then, okay, next list, we have branded. So it said among of the 9 branded decks at top this week, 7 of them were running Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, while 2 were running YuGiOh, the Supreme Magical Force. So YuGiOh is better versus Flounderies, because Gimmick Puppet just stops special summoning, while YuGiOh stops all summoning. The resistance of Sinful Spoil, Snake Eye, Fire King to play through various hand traps have made branded go back to relying on absolute floodgates such as Gimmick Puppet and YuGiOh. This deck finished first in the card store Liaison Cup, which had 67 participants. And I don't know, it's definitely a weird list. Like, I don't want to take this list like too much to heart, right? Because we have 3 Ash, 2 Maxi, 1 Droll, 1 Veiler, which, like, sure, cross up. And I'm like, why is it 2 Maxi? Which doesn't really make sense, because you could be like, oh, what if you draw a Maxi cross out? Drawing 2 1-ofs and 40 sounds crazy. Drawing 2 1-ofs and 60 sounds even crazier. And the opponent also has to draw the same hand trap. So, like, not gonna happen. And then, Yeah, they're playing Grass in their deck. They have Branded Fusion at 1, so they play 2 Retribution. They still have Expulsion, which is just like the best card to go for almost every single time. That card's so broken. Even if you don't have Gimmick Puppet set up, that card's absolutely crazy. But yeah, I don't know. This is just, it's like a weird list overall. It makes you question, like, is it even worth playing 60 with Grass? Because Grass is really strong, but like, is it worth playing 60 cards for? You know, Thrust can grab Grass, but usually, like, they play multiple Thrusts. They're only playing one. But that's probably because stuff like Bystials have fallen out of the format completely. Like, hand traps that summon bodies, so that way you can Thrust in the Grass turn 1. But, yeah, then going on to the extra, nothing crazy. Side deck, we see Phantasme. I have started to see more and more people play Phantasme post Phantom Nightmare and TCG. Just trying to use this to draw into more powerful hand traps. And if this does get to stay on the end board, then that's like another card that can help you be protected by like the opponent's princess and stuff. Also, it's just a body that you can link off to go into like Dark Charmer or SP Little Knight. I see Lancia there, which Lancia is a little bit weird in the side deck, I'm not gonna lie. Then we see like the third Maxi, the second Droll, the second Thrust, just overall like a weird list, I'm not gonna lie. And then Voiceless Voice. Among the 9 Voiceless Voice decks that top this week, 4 are running Diviner of the Herald and the Tiaras package, 3 are running the Dogmatica Maximus and Natty Servant package, and 1 is running both packages, and 1 is running neither package. So Maximus and Natty Servant package saw a decline in the last format due to the popularity of Duel and Lockbird, but as Duel and Lockbird is mostly put in the side deck, in the current metagame, some players have started going back to the Nadir package. So the Diviner and the Herald and Tiaras package plays around Droll and Lockbird. Okay, yep, we know that one. Yep. You know, just the standard Diviner dump, Tribute, bring out, Novox. But as most decks are running 3 Veiler and 3 Imperm in the deck, in the current metagame, there's a high chance the Diviner effect will get stopped unless you have Sir Arvis in the hand. Since the Diviner package do not require much of the extra deck, it can also run Extravagance in the main deck to dig for hand traps. Yeah, I think, I don't think the Diviner stuff is like super great, especially if everyone's playing 3 Veiler, 3 Imperm. That can definitely hurt a lot. But, you know, going back to the first list that we looked at, you know, 3 Veiler, 3 Imperm. So, it's definitely there. And then also, like, that package also makes you play in the Max C a little bit more, too. Because you're going to have to Tribute Diviner for Tiaras, and then Diviner effect goes Summon. And then you still have to actually, like, combo off. So, you're already letting your opponent draw multiple cards if you're actually trying to play there. Which I think makes the package, like, 10 times worse, especially in OCG. And so Solemn Strike and Solemn Judgment in the side are also effective against Diviner the Herald. Yes. Against Natty Servant, Judgment has the advantage of stopping it, while Strike would most likely be destroyed by Entus. Then the Nadir package or Diviner package has their own pros and cons, and the choice to go which would shift accordingly with the popularity of hand traps and tech cards in the metagames. There's always an option to run both packages. I don't think you would ever run both packages, to be honest. The one that played both is kind of crazy, because you still need room for non-engine in your deck, of course. Then it says York Ming went 7-0-1 and finished first in the AS or CS, which had 42 participants. So this was the Voiceless Voice deck that did well. They were playing Diviner in the deck. They were playing 2 Star Harvest, main deck in Odd Eyes, 2 Rock, you know, 8, 10, 11, 12 non-engine. But then they're also playing the Nadir package in the deck. So this was the person that played both packages, which, like, I don't know. I don't really agree with playing both packages. I don't think it's very good. I mean, if you open both packages together, sure, it can be fine, right? Because you can, like, Nadir and then Maximus dump Herald, Herald search Sir Arvis. At this point, like, they would have already stopped Maximus. If they didn't, then you can get Sir Arvis to hand the protect your Diviner. And then you can also get, like, a Garua draw. But I don't know. I don't think playing both packages is going to be correct in the TCG at all. Especially with, like, right now, our post-Phantom Nightmare, a lot of people are main decking Droll and Lockbird. Which Droll and Lockbird can hurt playing both packages. And then we can see in the side deck, we see 3 DDG, 2 Summon Limit, you know, different dimension ground. This deck can definitely play stuff like Summon Limit in it because, you know, it sets up an Omni Negate. So an Omni Negate plus a Summon Limit is like really, really strong. It can be outed by Fire King, but it's going to be hard because they're going to have to Kieran out it. And it's going to be hard when you have the Omni Negate set up. DDG, I can understand why they wanted to play this card, because if you flip this card against like Fire King, they really can't do a whole lot for the turn. And with that being the most popular deck by a wide margin, you know, you can just flip this and kind of skip turns. Also, if you play against other decks too, you can flip DDG and use it against them. Then it says, conclusion, Fire King takes a 4th consecutive week with 4 times as many tops as Branded and Voiceless Voice tied in the 2nd spot. The strength of the Sinful Spoil Snake Eye Fire King deck is its resilience against most of the tech cards. There's no clean answer that could address them efficiently, so players are divided on Strike, Judgment, Anti-Spell, or Summon Limit. Well, okay, those are like going first cards that can try to stop the deck. Sure, there's actually, you know, a better choice than all of these going first against the deck technically, and it is just DDG. Like, you could just DDG if you went first, and that will answer them. But the problem is going second. So going second, how do you efficiently stop the deck? Well, you can try stuff like Duel and Lockbird. Duel and Lockbird is a decent card that can go ahead and try to stop them. Of course, they have Max C. You know, you could try to instead just break the board. Now, the problem is a deck like Voiceless Voice, it's going to be very hard for you to hand trap the opponent and break their board. And also, this deck can't really just like full commit to like board breakers and stuff. And I'm pretty sure also in OCG they have Super Poly at 2. So that's like another, like, you know, that kind of hurts having that card at 2. Oh, yep. right here. Yep, you can see Super Poly at 2. So, you know, that makes it harder for them to be able to play board breakers also, because Super Poly on the Mud Dragon's pretty good. It can out the current field. And then set up like Mud Dragon Call Fire to stop like Princess, and then force the opponent to, you know, want to go into like a Kieran play next to out Mud Dragon, then Princess is set up. But also people in this format are playing Sanctuary with the Fire King XYZ, so that's going to come up a decent amount where, you know, it's just a whole another interruption. And then you can go like Princess, pop the XYZ, pop the opponent's card, XYZ, summon back out Arvata plus another body. So then it's another interruption. So stuff like Voiceless Voice, I feel like is just going to have a very hard time. I really do think you just have to play, like in TCG Post Phantom Nightmare, I really do think you just have to play a deck with the Snake Eye cards in it. That's just how it appears. Because those decks can go strong going first through hand traps. They're strong going second through end boards. While the other decks just don't feel that way. But, okay, this is not going to be it. So, something else that I think a lot of people don't really look at when they look at Road of the King is they don't look at the references, right? Because look at how many references there are. And like a lot of these just aren't real tourneys. Like if you click on them, they'll have like 20 players in them. And it's like, oh, you know, some of them even have less than that. So it's like, oh, you know, this is just actually a locals that is just called, you know, I mean, I'm not going to click on it right now, but 3rd Mini Tulio CS. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if I click on that, and there was 18 players at that tournament, and they're counting the first place list in this. And it's like, okay, well, now we're just counting locals, right? Like, there's no shot we're counting locals for this stuff. But now, okay, now I want to go over some of the deck lists. So this was the first place team from the 25th YCCS in Chiba Hobby Station. So this wasn't the World's competitor. The World's competitor is the 3rd one. This is the Fairy, which we looked over this list a second ago. But this was the B player. Now looking at the list, let's see if there's anything crazy in it. Because they said their lists were all pretty similar, right? Yeah, it's pretty similar. I think they play talents. I don't think they did. Yeah, so it's like a talent's different in the main. Extra deck seems to relatively be the same. Then, yeah, side deck, we see like 3 Droll on the side. 3 Strike in the side, 1 Talons. I don't think... Yeah, Yeah, okay, yeah, they play 2 talents on the side. They have 3 strike, they have 2, so just very small differences. And then this list that was on their team, we can see skill drain in the main deck, which is crazy, first of all, to main deck skill drain. I think skill drain is something that you could side deck in this deck if you want to, but main decking skill drain sounds wild. And that also kind of just, like, you know, pushes the idea that, like, you know, this was just a locals type tournament. So stuff like that is, you know, it's more reasonable, right? Like, I actually played in a 3v3 a few months ago, back in like June, and what we were doing is we were main decking Warlords in our Kashtira deck, and we were side decking into even more Floodgates. We ended up having, like, I think 7 Floodgates in our deck or something like that altogether. You know, at a locals level, like, that can be really, really strong, but we would not have taken that to the NAWCQ. And then, yeah, nothing else, like, super crazy about the list besides, like, the skill drain. So, going on to the next, this was the second place from that same tournament. Let's see if there's anything different in their list. Just looking over, you know, 2 Island, 1 Sanctuary, the Skyburn. Extra deck seems like, you know, fairly normal. Like, everyone's on Nightmare Phoenix. That's, like, one thing to note. They're only playing 2 of the side frames. They're not playing more of the Spell Negate, which does make Driver, you know, a little bit worse, because I feel like you want to commit a little bit more to this package. Yeah, it's just like, it's so awkward, because Driver's like a really bad card to draw, and if you're putting Driver in your deck, you want to get value off of it, and Gamma is really strong. That's the thing, is Gamma's really strong, so maybe you could argue even just like 1 Gamma, 1 Driver, but while the Spell Negate is also strong in the format, if you're already siding this in, you could also side this in too. And then 2 Droll, so they don't even have 3 Droll on the deck list. Yeah, Droll's definitely dying out in popularity in the main deck for sure, and OCG is what we can see. Yeah, like, none of the lists are playing Oak or Birch or anything like that, or Temple, stuff that we keep seeing in the TCG. The next list, anything crazy? Okay, they play 1 Sanctuary, 1 Island, 1 Skyburn. Then they play 13 Hand Traps. So they play 17 non-engine. They also play a Pot of Prosperity, which I think Prosperity is actually really bad in this deck. I definitely tried it out a lot before, and I do not think it's good. I do not think it's worth playing at all. See Lancia on the side deck again. I really wonder why they side deck Lancia. Is it for, like, Rescue Ace and Flunder? Actually, let me just scroll back up to this. So let's see, Flounder 4, Rescue Ace 3, what's, like, Branded Voiceless Voice, Pendulum Magician. Does it work versus their Pendulum Magician deck? Like, it says FTK. I mean, it can't be that impactful against that deck, I'm not gonna lie. They can definitely play through it. I don't even know what they're going for, but I know that they can play through it. Because, like, Lancia, I guess, also stops World Sea against that deck, because that deck, you know, it goes for Electromite, and then Princess, bring back out Electromite, and then World Sea, banish, bring back out Electromite, Electromite for the 3rd time. So maybe you're trying to Lancia, catch them off guard the last time or something, so, like, maybe it can help against them. I don't know. Genuinely don't know on that one. I haven't played against the OCG Pendulum deck. And then, oh, okay, so something different is they're playing 2 Kieran in their list. Yeah, so this player played 2 Kieran, and this player played 2 Kieran. So they cut down on the Fire King stuff even more. But then this player also decided to play 2 Island, 1 Sanctuary, 1 Skyburn. The other player was playing 1 Island, 1 Sanctuary, 1 Skyburn, and then a very small Fire King package. Which, you know, it kind of makes sense. Like, the Fire King stuff is really awkward. It's not great to have a lot of it, but I feel like you would want to have a little bit stronger of a package for that stuff, especially, like, right now with 3 Veiler, 3 Imperm being super standard in their format. Kieran can also act as a called buy on stuff like Populous, Snake Eye Ash if they try to Veiler or Imperm it, which can also help out. Once again, Prosperity, which I don't really agree with. Maybe it was mainly there. Nah, I can't be there mainly for Crossout. This card's also at 1 in their format, so it's not like they were just playing 1 for Crossout. It's literally just at 1. Okay. Then... Okay, looking over the side now. Yeah, they decided to play Judgment over Strike, which, you know, for a locals level tournament, you know, I'd probably agree that's probably just the better choice, because you're going to play against some really whack decks, and Judgment's just going to end up being a better overall card. But something like Strike would probably be better for like a YCS or something. But then again, we talk about other powerful cards that you could play, like DDG. Like maybe you just play the mirror match and you flip DDG on the opponent and pretty much tell them you're not doing a whole lot this turn. I'm practically skipping your turn. So that way, even if you get hit with like Hand Trap Max C, you know, you can still just like flip DDG, practically skip their turn, you know, make it to where they're not doing too much, and then it comes back to you. And if you didn't get hit with Max C and you got to build some of an end board, then you flip DDG. That's pretty much just game, right? Not saying that card's like absolutely needed broken, but you know, DDG, stuff like that, you know, there are other options than just Judgment, Strike. You know, also Anti-Spell can be strong too, but Anti-Spell can also be beat just by like normal summon Ash. That can, you know, do a whole lot. I'm not gonna lie. That definitely just beats Anti-Spell by itself, because you can just go normal, search, special, link Kriba, spell and trap zone, make SP, SP banish, and now you have activate original, send Populous from the spell and trap zone, Ponix, Sanctuary, Island, Garunix, you know, you can just keep going from there, and you can attempt to do something at least through Anti-Spell with just one card. But hopefully if you flip Anti-Spell, you have an interruption next to it, right? But then, now I want to go over this. This is called Note.com. This was posted a while ago. If you look at this, November 26, 2023. But this is the format that we are going into. This is a Rescue Ace deck with the Bonfire Populous stuff in it, and this was made by Fairy, the person that I had talked about before. The person that was the 2018 Yu-Gi-Oh! Japan representative. So obviously they gotta be at least like a decent player, right? If they went to Worlds, at least, bare minimum, they have to be at least decent. You know, going to Worlds doesn't automatically mean you're an absolute insane player. It does not mean that. But it most likely means, you know, you're better than average for sure at that point. And I won't have access to this entire note thing, since it costs like $5 to read the whole thing. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not spending $5 to read someone's article, especially when, like, I had to translate it from their language to our language, English, and it's, like, extremely hard to read. So I'm actually gonna skip over a decent amount of this. I've already read through all of this before. So, you know, they talk about the Bonfire Rescue Ace deck concept. Huge advantage that can be earned with just one Turbulence. Yes, if you can resolve one Turbulence, it's broken. Obviously, we all know that, right? Turbulence set 4 is insane. So if we scroll down, yeah, one Turbulence effect can set up 2-3 interruptions plus follow-up. There's a place where you can swipe your card. That's, I don't know exactly what that means, but that's just game. That's what that just means. That's just game. So, yeah, right here, let's scroll down, let's scroll down, let's scroll down. As a deck that creates such a simple suppression board, there's no universal immunity against magic traps. So it's weak against turning cards such as Feather Duster, Lightning Storm, Evenly Match, because all gimmicky interference is an effect that doesn't target the deck. Weak points such as, like, I don't even know what that is. Mud Dragon, Stray Pearly Field Spell, the Silent Barrier, Anti-Magic Bond? Anti-Magic Arrows? Oh, no, I guess that's just like another thing for Mud Dragon that appears through Super Poly and Instant Fusion. So, despite having fatal flaws as a deck deployment deck, this deck is very powerful. It has the characteristics of a mid-range deck that can continuously take advantage every single turn. Okay, and then right here we're going to skip past this because this is them pretty much just saying, like, you know, if you set up SP Summon Turbulence, Imperm won't beat you, because if they go on Summon of Turbulence, Imperm, okay, now we make Princess, effect bring out Turbulence, Turbulence set from the deck. If they wait until you activate Turbulence effect, you chain SP and you still set 4. So stuff like Imperm won't work later on against Rescue Ace anymore. You're pretty much going to have to hit the deck early on with those cards and just pray, which feels really bad, but that's just how it is. You know, especially Veiler. Imperm, you know, maybe you could argue that you hold it for Appaloosa, but also not everybody's setting up Appaloosa. Like, some people just go for Whale, so if you hold the Imperm like that, then you can get really, really, really punished. So it's going to become a lot more awkward to use Veiler and Imperm versus Rescue Ace compared to how it was before. So, yeah, they just talk about that right here. Then they talk about Populous, how it is, you know, it's very good with Bonfire. It's like a one-card combo. You don't have to have, like, you know, where Black Witch doesn't require a cost, so it's a pure one-card combo initial move. Then, yeah, Bonfire is a card that can spit out a Link 2 on the board without using the normal summon, even if you don't use it as the initial move, so you can involve Little Knight and cross over the board, like out the field. Then, yeah, many moves from the race gimmick. In fact, it is a deck that is strong playing second. I like how that's in bold. Yes, because the deck is good at going second. It's not just good at going first. It's very good at going first, but the deck can obviously go second. You know, we've seen it before. Many, many, many times on the channel. So, yeah, just going past this, I guess. Wait, Hydra, Airlifter, Populous. That can go ahead and summon Black Witch, Bonfire, Impulse, Emergency Rescue, which are special summon cards, you know, extender cards that not use the normal summon. Preventer, Turbulence, etc. are moves that can be used when the graveyard is filled up with the Rescue Ace stuff, and then those are like really strong extenders because Preventer can be summoned, try to book a moon, or just use it as multiple bodies. You know, link off, Preventer, summon back out to another body. Our Turbulence, the opponent pretty much wants to respond to that on summon or on the effect. Otherwise, you get to set a bunch of cards from deck. So even going second, those are very strong. Then, okay, yeah, go ahead. They said there are some face-offs that are difficult to use, but a single card has high power, like Turbulence, and a small number of flip-up cards that can be used even if you draw as a 6 card or use in the main deck. Not sure what that is, but this is Super Poly. This is Talents, I'm pretty sure, and there are other gimmicks in the deck injected into. And it said, I have selected a plan. Okay. So, yeah, they also talk about Max C. We can just skip over that entire Max C part because there's just no point of going over that for TCG players. They talk about how to beat stuff like Rock. They did not involve Preventer in the deployment until I started playing against, until I get playing Turbulence against Nib. Okay, so pretty much how to beat Nib is one big way is Preventer. We've all seen this before. So if you have like SP and Turbulence on your field and your opponent activates Nib, you can just say okay to that, tribute the field, summon out token, activate Preventer, banish Turbulence special. Now link those off into like an IP or something, and then you get Preventer to summon out Turbulence, and then Turbulence can go ahead and set from the deck. So that's pretty strong right there, right? Then you could, if you want to, go up in the Princess summon back out like a Hydra from the graveyard. Now you can activate Extinguish, Pop Rock, Emergency Banish, reset the trap card. Now you can go up into like a Whale, pass. And, you know, you outed the rock that they summoned. You pretty much completely played through it. You outed the body. You still set 4. So stuff like that can definitely help. After being hit by a Nib with Turbulence special, use Emergency to special Turbulence and send a Rescue Ace from the hand. That's another way to beat it, of course. After Nib is hit, or after Nib is dropped on a Turbulence special summon, if there's a fire attribute in the opponent's graveyard, they add a fire attribute to the side of the field and connects Hida into the Princess to special summon out Turbulence. Again, so that's another way to do it. And then also you can special summon Turbulence with 4 summons. Yeah, sometimes you can just simply do that, right? Like Airlifter effect, I don't know, just like a random scenario. Airlifter Headquarters, activate Headquarters, normal out Hydrant, effect search Turbulence, link off in the IP or SP, and then banish 2, summon out Turbulence, Turbulence effect, go set. You probably just go for SP so you can beat stuff like Imperm Veiler on the effect. To pretty much make it so that way you resolve it through one of those cards no matter what, like we had talked about before. They talk about Lancia. I'm not even going to go over Lancia since that card's not popular at all in the TCG. And then playing against Droll and Lockbird, search the Turbulence with Hydrant's effect from the Diabella Star, or emergency search from the Airlifter as the first search, and special summoning Turbulence off of it. Makes it that way you do not lose to stuff like Duel and Lockbird. Yeah, I mean, if you go like Hydrant, search Airlifter, like let's say you go Black Witch, discard special effects, set original, send, summon Hydrant. A lot of people there would go original, send, summon Hydrant, search Airlifter, and then you get hit with Duel, right? Now you don't have a whole lot. So a lot of the times you should just be searching something like Turbulence there to beat Duel, especially in TCG where Duel and Lockbird is like, a lot of people were playing this in the main deck post Phantom Nightmare at 3. Compared to the OCG, we saw like a lot of them were not even side decking 3 of this card. They had it in the side, but not even all the time at 3. Like literally the first list they show 2 Duel on the side, 0 in the main. So first week of the list, let me see if I click that. Okay, it'll boost it up a little bit. So we can see the first list played 3 Preventer, Airlifter was at 2. This was back when Emergency was at 3 in their format. Played 2 Wanted, played 2 Populous, 3 Bonfire. I never really got why OCG played 2 Populous, 3 Bonfire. I didn't think that stuff was like, I don't think it's that good, right? Especially when you have a decent amount of other normal summons that you want to bring out. You could say like, oh, what if you open Bonfire Populous? I say put my deck on better habit, right? I can still use the Bonfire on the next turn if I want to, through original putting back Populous to go search for a Hydrant, and then Bonfire for something like Populous. It's not the greatest, but like, I don't know. I feel like you shouldn't be focusing this much on Populous. Maybe 3 Wanted for Black Witch, because I feel like Black Witch is overall better. And they talked about how Black Witch has an initial cost to it, while Bonfire and the Populous doesn't. But, you know, also if you just don't open Bonfire and you have to normal summon out Populous, it's not as strong as being able to, like, special summon Black Witch, or, you know, Wanted in the Black Witch, that way you also have a draw set up afterwards. And again, Draw's not in their main deck, so, you know, you're not going to get stopped with your Wanted draw, right? Because you can go Hydrant Search, and then you can go Wanted Draw, and you probably won't get stopped. We can see they don't have any Impulse in the main deck. They side deck the 3 Impulse, 1 Fire Engine. We can also see, oh, that's the Goblin Rider in the side deck there. So, okay. That card's really interesting, right? Because it's a quick effect, attach 1 material from an XYZ on the field, special summon that card out. Now, the question is why? Why is that in the deck? It's a warrior, so you can search it off Rhoda. But what XYZ deck? Hold on, let me look at the OCG metagame thing one more time. This is obviously a different meta than when this was built in. But I don't know what it would be for. Huh. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it was like a really heavy XYZ deck before, but even then it only detaches 1 from it. But okay. And then we see Reinforce in the side deck also. Then scrolling down, we can see week 2, you know, second week. Now they have a little bit of a different game plan. They have Instant Fusion in the side deck. They have 2 Super Poly in the main deck. They cut Preventer down to 2. They put 2 Impulse, 1 Fire Engine in the main deck. I've noticed a lot of OCG players really enjoy playing 2 Impulse, 1 Fire Engine. While in TCG, a lot of people either play 3 Impulse, 1 Impulse, or 0 Impulse. But they like 2 of it. And then, you know, still on the 2 Populous. This won't change any of the lists, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they're all going to play 1 Black Witch, 2 Wanted, 3 Bonfire, 2 Populous. That's pretty much what a lot of them do. And we can see, like, for non-engine in this list, you know, it does get cut down because we decided to play Impulse. But Impulse also does help your deck go in second, you know, in different ways. Instead of just trying to, like, imperm the opponent, now you have Impulse to help you, like, break boards and stuff. And also, this was back when the Rescue Ace Mirror Match was a lot more popular. So that would help out a lot more than, like, an Imperm, right? Where you have to Imperm early on and just pray. Now Imperm is moved to the side deck there. Then this is just, I was going to say, it's just another copy of the first list. Pretty much, right? Yeah, it's just the extract and stuff's moved around. Okay. And then, oh, wait. No, because this is playing 41, this is 42. Okay, what's the difference with this list then? Oh, they played 3 Wanted. Okay, that's the difference. Then, okay, going down, said when testing the Rescue Ace Mirror Match, a mid-range build, played against the Magician, like the Pendulum Magician deck, the Fire King deck, and the Snake Eye mid-range build. I often found that a single hand trap would not change the game, so I gave up on a lot of the hand trap type cards. And you can see in their list they're just playing Ash Max C, which are pretty much like you have to play, because Max C very strong. It's literally like Shifter, but every deck can play it. And then Ash can stop stuff like Max C. And then also it's like decent overall. It's decent. But okay, so just scrolling through this real quick, because they were just talking about how, like, you know, Fire Engine from Impulse is really strong, because then you can go, like, Impulse, Fire Engine, Airlifter, grab Emergency, and that can really help your deck go in second, or you could grab, like, Rescue, stuff like that. And then here's the third week that they played, and this list, you know, still plays the Goblin Rider in the side deck, which is just such a weird card to me. They've cut the Instant Fusion from the side deck. They realized they didn't need it, but they still kept the Super Poly in the main deck. They also moved the Harpies to the main deck, which is very interesting. They play Pot of Prosperity, still plays 2 Wanted, yeah, still plays 2 Impulse. A lot of the most of the deck didn't really change there, to be honest. And then, yeah, I'm pretty sure right here is pretty much where it ends. So it says role of Bonfire, Rescue Ace, and playing various cards. So how to think about hand rolling. So decks with gimmicks involving Bonfire, you know, Rescue Ace, Snake Eye, Fire King, hybrid decks of Snake Eye and Fire King have a few hands that can be stopped with just one hand trap. If you want to trigger, you usually have to have multiple hand traps for it to be done. Yes, Rescue Ace has a lot of gimmick moves, but there are a few plays a few free spots in the main deck, so it's not realistic to hit multiple hand traps and win on the go going second. Making the gimmick thicker will reduce the loss of going first, and having it in a set will improve the accuracy of the card. See right there, it's like a little bit hard to understand exactly what they mean by that because of the translation. So it says, even if you draw a lot of gimmicks, you are strong against Maxi. So the current Rescue Ace is strong regardless whether you go first or second, by building a thick gimmick. Okay. Thinking about search destinations and number ratios. Okay, so yeah, obviously you play 2 of that, 1 Rhoda, 2 Hydrant, 2 of that. Okay. Yep, a lot of this is like, it's already fair enough, but I want to see the 2 Impulse. So this is a second hand card, so it's a go in second card, that allows you to deploy out the Fire Engine and the Airlifter and then search out Emergency while going second. Engine deployment is not a hindrance, it's not a hand trap, like it's not like Valor that's stopping the opponents, but it's trying to push you ahead, kind of like Phantasmic. Such as securing an emergency that is essential when flipping on the second attack, increasing the output of Preventer and Turbulence by filling in the graveyard with rescue names also. Yeah, so like if you drop Impulse, then you have infinite names, so now Turbulence, Preventer are a lot more live, and forcing the opponent to consume resources to process the board. However, you are weakening the opponent's advantage development more than you can see. Yeah, a little bit, because they're going to want to get Fire Engine and stuff like that off the field. Now, the problem is right now in the current metagame, there is a card called SP Little Knight, and SP Little Knight will freely out one of the monsters. Like, very, very freely out one of them. Like, they can go through SP Banish instantly. It's not going to be hard. And then also, if you do play against Fire King, they can try to Kieran out another one or something. It says, even in advance, it is a powerful card than to overlap because it can be searched as a interruption other than the Turbulence trap. It can redeploy Rescue Ace monsters to the board during the opponent's turn when hit by a Super Poly, so 2 copies are used. That just doesn't make sense. Why is it 2 copies then? I wish there was an explanation to that, because I feel like that deserved more of an explanation, because they talked about what the card does, right? So it's like, why are you not playing 3 of it? Why are you not playing 1 of it? You know, why is it 2? Is it because the deck only has space for 2? But we know that's not true, because, you know, you're playing 41 cards with a Harpy's Feather Duster in the main, 2 Wanted, 2 Populous, stuff like this. So I wish they gave us more of a reasoning behind that. Is it because, like, it could make opponents Max C live on their turn? You know, I wish we could have more of a reasoning, because, you know, they don't play fire attackers, so that means they're going Impulse in the Fire Engine. On Impulse, chain Max C, but then you just don't go for Fire Engine, right? You could just go for like a Turbulence or something, but then they easily out Turbulence with SP like we had talked about. So, I don't know, it's weird. One Fire Engine, of course, not going to go over the spells and traps, and then, yeah, right there it ends. Because, yeah, to see more, you have to pay, like, the $5, which, I just didn't want to pay $5 to read this, especially because a lot of it, like I said, is very hard to read, through the, like, translations, which does suck. Otherwise, maybe I would pay, like, the $5 just for the content. But yeah, that is going to be it for the video. I know this is kind of a long video. It's like 45 minutes long. I just felt like when people go over the OCG metagame, all they do is they open up Road of the King, they just scroll down, they see, oh, pie chart, list, alright, cool, that's it. And they don't actually, like, look at the references, they don't look at the other stuff. You know, you also have to realize, like, the people writing these articles aren't the most brightest, obviously. I mean, all you have to do is read this little sentence right here, like this thing right here, and you can tell that they just aren't the brightest players overall, because they're talking about Solemn Strike being very good against hand traps, and if you draw 2 of it, you can stop the opponent, then use it as a way to stop a hand trap. That's never going to come up. That's, like, almost never going to come up. Like, almost never, right? It might come up where you draw 1 Solemn Strike, and you have a Max C in the hand, and you Max C the opponent, and they don't do too much, so now you can save Solemn Strike on your turn for something like Max C, or a hand trap. Like, that could have been an argument that they could have used, but saying drawing 2 Solemn Strike, I can't get over that. It's actually just, like, unbelievable. So obviously the people who are writing these articles aren't the most informed about a lot of this stuff. Which is like, whatever, sure, I don't care. It's still a lot of information that's given out. To be honest, I like getting the stuff down here, the references, especially because it'll link you. A lot of them are posted on Twitter, so you can get linked straight to the player's Twitter, and you can read exactly what they had to say about it. So, you know, the references is where I'd go down to, and also go to the tournaments that were a little bit bigger, or go to people that have past results. You know, don't look at people who have just won a locals. It's like, okay, sure, you won a locals, but, you know, look at people, like I said, who, you know, have gone the worlds before, have topped many tournaments before, so that way you can, like, look at those references. Because when I look at OCG, I just want to look at the best players, especially because I don't look at OCG too much, because I understand that OCG and TCG do have, you know, they do have really big differences overall. I do think a lot of what they do, we can copy, but not all of it, for sure. Because they just have really big differences in the format with stuff like Max C, which changes the deck building overall and makes different things have to happen because of that. But alright, that's going to be it for the video. I'm going to link all the stuff down below in the description, the Road to the King and the notepad thing that I read over. If you want to look over those, you can. Also, if you want me to make any videos like this in the future, I will, except I'll probably make them a lot faster. I just wanted to make a little bit more of an in-depth one, just because I keep seeing people talk about Road to the King and stuff, and they don't actually talk about, like, the downsides to it, or, you know, how to actually interpret it better, right? And also, you know, maybe stuff like Note, maybe more people could use stuff like this. And also, it only costs like $4.50 or something like that to buy this stuff. And also, if you're a member on the website, I'm pretty sure you also get a discount. So it's like, you know, maybe like $3.50 or something like that. So, you know, if you want to spend $3.50 to read through some of this stuff, you can. You know, maybe I'll do that in the future. Comment down below if you want me to do that in the future also, or comment down below if you want me to go over an OCG meta break like this again, except I would go over it much faster. Okay, and with all that being said, I'm done yapping. The DB Grinder signing off. Peace, have a nice day, stay safe.